The physical world is the reflection, while the metaphysical world is the origin of that reflection. There exists a space where all possible realities already exist, and individual experience is the result of tuning into one of those points. Perceived reality is the exact reflection of one's inner mental and emotional state. Physical reality responds quickly to direct action, which creates the impression that results can only be achieved through external effort. However, this way of operating is limited, because it depends on scarce resources and restricted possibilities. At the same time, there are invisible processes that strongly influence reality. External intention acts upon what already exists. Internal intention, thoughts and feelings, has the ability to bring into reality what is not yet present. To understand how this principle works in practice, it is necessary to understand some direct implications. The first is that the world reflects one's attitude toward it. The way someone reacts to what happens determines what will be reflected back. Negative reactions reinforce negative situations. If there is a desire to change some aspect of reality, it is necessary to first change the way one reacts to it. Even if the external situation does not change immediately, a change in attitude gradually begins to alter the experience. The second implication is that the reflection depends on the unity between the mind and the inner self. What manifests is the result of the alignment between what one thinks and what one feels. It is not enough to rationally want something if there is internal resistance. Likewise, it is useless to feel something if the mind does not believe in the possibility. The point of reality that manifests is the one where these two parts coincide. There is also a natural tendency for this alignment to happen more easily in relation to fear and aversion. This makes it easier to manifest what is unwanted than what is consciously desired. The third implication is that there is a delay between internal change and external reflection. Transformations are not immediate. There is a gap between what happens internally and what manifests in reality. This period may vary, and it is often connected to the degree of internal alignment. Because of this, seeking immediate validation from the external world tends to interrupt the process. By constantly looking outward for confirmation, a person returns to the old pattern of reacting to what they see, reinforcing the same cycle. The focus should remain inward, and the external world should serve only as a way to notice signs of progress, not to validate or invalidate the process. The fourth implication is that the reflection does not interpret negation. It responds to content, not verbal intention. Thinking about something, even in the form of rejection, keeps the focus on that content. As a result, it continues to be reinforced. Attention is the determining factor. Whatever occupies mental space tends to manifest, regardless of whether it is desired or not. Negative thoughts, fears, and worries end up being maintained precisely because of the constant focus placed on them. The fifth implication involves changing the direction of attention. Instead of focusing on the reflection, it is necessary to focus on the internal content. This breaks the automatic cycle of reacting to the external world. Rather than reacting to what is seen, the person begins by creating the desired internal state first. This can be done through the construction of a clear mental image of the final result, experienced as if it were already real. This image should feel light, without effort or tension, and should be repeated naturally over time. It is not about intensely desiring something, but about becoming familiar with the feeling of already being in that reality. The more this internal state stabilizes, the more external reality tends to reflect it. For those who struggle with mental imagery, repeating affirmations can also work, as long as there is emotional connection to what is being affirmed. To have control over reality, it is necessary to let go of control. Excessive importance placed on something creates imbalance. When there is an intense need for something to happen in a certain way, it generates tension and consumes energy. This excess negatively interferes with the process. The same happens when there is excessive pressure placed on oneself. The need to prove something, achieve something, or meet expectations creates a burden that reduces one's capacity for action and accomplishment. The more rigid the attempt to control, the less real control actually exists. By reducing importance, releasing pressure, and accepting the flow, energy reorganizes itself and the capacity to influence reality increases. In addition, excessive importance distorts perception. Many times, what is being sought is already accessible, but goes unnoticed because of this distortion. In the end, the unconscious state is characterized by living in constant reaction to the reflection, allowing the world to determine the internal state. This creates a continuous cycle in which reality constantly reinforces the same patterns. The conscious state emerges when attention is directed inward, and the internal content begins to be adjusted intentionally. External reflection then starts to follow this change. The world is not something to be confronted directly, but rather a responsive system. The reflection shows the internal content exactly as it is. Trying to change only the reflection does not work, because it is merely the consequence. Understanding how this mechanism works makes it possible to make adjustments at the point of origin, which naturally alters the perceived result. This principle is neither good nor bad. It simply functions. The effect depends on the way one interacts with it. The greater the awareness of this process, the greater the ability to direct one's own reality.